broke apart the front pump, and or the main pump, or the transmission pump, whatever you want to call it. And the first thing I see is, well, you'll see here, this is like funny, like burned a little bit, but then here it is really tore up. Like, that's no good right there. That's ruined. So yeah, that's supposed to be like a bearing surface. Somebody must have run it dry or something. There you go. Yeah. Yep. That's a no good. Comes in here, or maybe in here, I don't know. It comes in one and out the other, right? But if there's a big gouge like that, then the fluid's just gonna, no pressure's gonna build. So I'll bet you if we had tested this, pressure tested this, it would show that it didn't have good line pressure. There you go. And even if I replace the gears, this is bad. So here's my problem. It's a 904 transmission pump. Okay, this is the pump that I need, and it is mangled. It's all burned up for some reason. This part is bad. Okay, and this is a non-lockup 904. The specific difference that I see is there's 3 check balls that looks like they're somehow punched in to stay in there. This one's only got 2. So, can I use the one with the check balls with a non-lockup transmission, or will it not work? If you know the answer, please put it in the comments. Otherwise, hang out. I'm working on transmissions tonight, and I don't know, maybe you'll learn something too. There you go. That's why the transmission stopped working, was because the pump is wiped out. But I have this pump out of another transmission, and it seems to be good. So this is the stator shaft, and this supports the stator inside of the torque converter, one of the 2 sides of the pump. I think this shows the ridge right there. See, it should be perfectly flat, and you can see this scoring right in that area there. And that should be where the face of the pump gear is sealing. With a feeler gauge, it measures about 0.013 or 0.014. 0.016 won't slide in there, so I think that's beyond tolerance. You know, visually, being here in person, it's very apparent. Like, you can see it over here as well. Lighting is so important. See that right there? I mean, that should be perfectly flat. I could show you an example of one that is perfectly flat. There's no place to stick a feeler gauge under there. Like, it just isn't going to happen, because this surface is, and this isn't even like a brand new, this is a well-used pump, but it does not have the gouging. And then this lip here is supposed to be there, but this should be a true surface until it gets to that lip. Okay, and it's real good. No measurable amount with like feeler gauges. Okay, we go back now that you've seen that, what it's supposed to look like. I hope you could better see. Yeah, this seems like a good angle. You could better see where that wear begins right there. It should not begin there. It should only be here where it machines down. See, now you can see. So that I believe to be bad. And I think if you were here in person, there wouldn't even be a discussion about it. But camera work is tough. We're gonna replace this so that, because the last thing we want is fluid squeezing between this place here and over to here, because then we won't get, and even here too, there has to be a good seal between these 2 pieces for the pump to build correct pressure. It might build some pressure, but not enough. And it's a really rough surface. You know, it's gouged and stuff. This is the pump gear that's undamaged. This is from the pump that doesn't have any apparent wear that is out of the specification. Looks pretty good. Shiny, smooth, got some dots of dirt on there. But, you know, looks like a good machine surface. Okay? Here is the pump that I believe to be bad. And if you look, it has like this galling effect. Very much dependent on the right angle and the right lighting. And so that galling, you know, you could feel it with your finger a lot. So I'm going to replace the gears for the pump. This face seems to be fine, and from what I read, these are all the same. So I could use the other one, but there's no apparent, like when I take this out, well, right now it doesn't want to come out, but when I take it out on this side, it's good. And the face that it rides on is good. So it's just the other half of the housing that I believe needs replaced. This is the model that came off of a non-lockup torque converter, and this one comes from a lockup torque converter. And if you look, it might take you a few minutes to figure out what the differences are, because generally they have the same spline count, the same inner diameter, a lot of the same, you know, the porting for the pump and everything. A lot of this is very much the same. The difference that is easy to spot once you know to look for it is these check balls. Just get close in on these check balls. This is as close as I can get. On the non-lockup torque converter, it does not have a check ball. The non-lockup doesn't have a check ball. The lockup has 3 check balls. Okay, and each one has a little like stake divot beside it to make sure it holds in there tight. You'll notice there's no stake. No one ever tried to put it in here, and I verified that that's the way it's supposed to be. So there's not a defect here. This is the non-lockup, and this is the lockup. Now when I ask a question like, well, can we just take the check ball out? We run out of answers. Like forums, they don't know. People don't try it generally. I don't know. But if you have a non-lockup converter, you want to have the part that doesn't have a check ball, or else they say you will run your converter dry or something like that. Anyways, it's bad. And then if you don't have this one for the lockup, it's bad. There, I don't have answers. Maybe someone in the comments can give answers. Maybe they don't want to give us the answers. That's okay too. I was able to find a part I put on order that will be new old stock so that I can replace this and get this transmission back into working order. I'm not too worried, but I thought it was interesting that there was something to see there, and that, you know, there was a clear and easy to quantify difference between the two. The way I've been taught to tell the difference between a non-lockup, this being the non-lockup, and this being the lockup style transmission, is that this smooth part out past the splines. This is for the lockup converter. This is for a non-lockup converter. If you are going to build yourself from parts a lockup converter, you need to have the 3 check balls. It's a non-lockup converter. You need to have a pump missing this check ball. And then the valve bodies must be matched. And I don't know how to tell one from the other yet. Maybe I'll make a video on that once I've learned some more. Time to do some research. I hope that clarifies some things that I'm learning. I like to teach and also to entertain. I think this might be more educational than entertaining tonight, but thanks for watching.